Okay, go for it.
Great. And everyone can see my screen perfectly. Great. Unless you say no, in which case, all right. Okay, welcome. There. So going into the intros, for over a decade, I've traveled the world and telling stories, social media stories. This is the social story, i.e. how I spell my name. It looks better when I write it out anyway. So what does that mean? It means that I have worked in music, sports, DEI, and really I prioritize with all of the content I create. I really work to prioritize storytelling over just social media, or trying to, I don't know how the best way to say it, but working with organizations basically to tell stories. And I think that's at the core of everything that we do. We want, in social media, you really want people to create a connection with what you're trying to say. So whether that's a photo, a video, an article, a story, whatever it is, you want there to be a connection and you want to create community. So, with digital and social kind of growing as much as it does and ever changing, sometimes telling those stories can be complicated or tricky, but that's what we're here to do. And that's exactly what makes it interesting. I use a Wild West scenario. Social media is the Wild West, and you can be whatever person you want to be inside of it. Before we jump into things, I wanted to give you a couple of stats. I think this is all really interesting. As of this month, about 58% of the world's population, total population, which is about to be 8 billion people total. So 58% of 8 billion of the world's population uses social media. So if you didn't think it was important, everybody is connected. In the last year, social media users have grown 10%. So that means 424 million people have joined social media and have joined social media platforms in the last year. The average user spends about 2.5 hours on social every single day, which means there's a lot of time to capture that audience. If you think about how much time maybe you spend watching TV, doing sports, maybe you only spend an hour a day working out, that's 1.5 times, that's the number of times you maybe work out. And we won't really get into ads today because I think social ads is a totally huge next step that takes a lot more to kind of go through. So I'm happy to talk and continue that conversation. But to give you just an idea about ads, specifically on Instagram, those ads reach about 1.5 billion people every single month, most of that coming from stories. So if you're ever thinking, if you're at a point and you get to a point where you say, how do we go to the next step? How do we promote this next piece of content? Or how do we promote this event that's coming up? We can talk about Instagram or advertising in the future. But we're not going to get a ton into it. It's a very complicated, tricky subject that we can park for now. So, wait. Go back. That went back really fast. I was like, that is not my slide. Sorry. There we go. Okay. I was like, we are not ready for these parts yet. Okay. So what about starting from the beginning? What do? We want to start small. So if we're thinking about where do we even begin? Maybe you have a few social media accounts, maybe you're not really sure how to use them, or maybe you want to take that first step. You want to start small. You want to ask yourself some questions. And this is where you can really start with that strategic vision and align yourself with your goals. So why do you want to invest in social media accounts? And this is a big question that a lot of people don't ask right off the get-go. A lot of people just jump into social saying, oh, well, someone says I need Twitter. Someone says I need Instagram. I need to have Facebook. But which is a really common thing. So a lot of people just invest and open these accounts and then do nothing with them. So why do you want to invest in social media? Is your audience there? Is this a product that you want to reach new people with? Do you want to share some more stories? What is the reason behind your why? And then ask yourself, what accounts do you want to invest in? A long time ago, you pretty much had to be on everything. You had to be on Facebook, you had to be on Twitter, you had to be on Instagram, because most users were on Facebook that had the largest user base. But now, as trends are starting to change, as original social media users, myself included, are getting a little bit older, Facebook is becoming a little bit less important. It's not really where organizations and companies are connecting with audiences. So what accounts do you have the capacity and the interest and the audience that will kind of support that investment? And then to kind of follow that up, who is my target audience? Is your target audience the audience that's on Facebook, or are they more on Instagram? And that's asking yourself some kind of what type of products I have, what do I want to promote, and what stories do I want to tell? And once you ask all of yourself these questions and you have a clear vision, make a plan. And these are I'm going through my very easy 3 steps, but they are not actually easy to implement. So make a plan. What types of content do you want to produce and publish? So what does that mean? Do I want to do videos? Do I want to do photos? Is it going to be article-based? Will I invest in reels? What kind of content do you have the capacity and the creativity and energy to create? And then how will you do it? If you want to make videos and you want to use videos to tell your stories, again, will you use a video producer? Do you have someone who can create that content for you? So it's asking yourself how and when. And that comes down to capacity. Do you have the capacity to do it, or do you need to bring someone else in to take over that role? And then the last question is, what do I want to achieve? So do you want to just grow your followers? Like, what is that main KPI goal? Do you want to grow your followers? Will reach be an indicator of success, or do you want to see engagement? And those questions and knowing what you want to achieve will also help inform what types of content and when. Then the last part of it is be consistent and engage your community. So make sure that, again, once you open these accounts, that you're posting regularly with a cohesive and consistent messaging. That'll help build your community. It'll help people be engaged, and it'll help people find more people in the world find your content. If you open an account and maybe only post once a week or once every 2 weeks, all of those people who joined and who started following you, the algorithm will actually negatively impact your content, and even those people following you won't see it. On Instagram, for example, about 1% of your total followers will see your post. That number starts to go up the more you start to post. I'm not saying you have to post every day, but I am saying that you need to have a consistent strategy and a consistent plan and a content calendar to make sure that you're doing that regularly and posting consistently. The other side of this too is also that you want to make sure that you're engaging your community. So if you see someone comments on a post, give them a like, say thank you, and just really acknowledge that that person took a second of their time so you can give a second back. And that person will become more engaged and more connected to your message. So we've got this. So we have these great ideas, these great questions. I've overwhelmed you, and now I'm going to overwhelm you even more. It's fine. Oh my goodness. Okay. I can't click my buttons today, apparently. Okay. So where do we begin? So this is another section. So the slide before is really that first level. You're getting into social media for the first time. But for those of you who maybe already have social media accounts that you want to take to the next level, this is sort of that next step. So if you have your accounts, you have a bit of an idea of what's going on, and you want to reevaluate your success and try to take that next step, we're going to start with thinking strategically. And this is an exercise that we go through at Inclusion Incorporated, at the IIHF. And I think it's really important to do this exercise about every 6 months to a year, so that you can make sure that what you're doing on social best represents what you're doing in your organization. We all grow and adapt every single day. So coming together with your team and a leadership group, thinking strategically about what are your business goals and how can your social strategy connect back to your business? Has your goals changed as an organization? Have your programs changed? Has your messaging changed? Because knowing that will help inform what you do on social and how. If you already have those social media accounts, it's a great chance to reevaluate if those social media accounts are giving you the best ROI. As I said before, as trends change, as people get older, new people start taking on new accounts. Perhaps Facebook just isn't, and I talk about Facebook a lot because I think it's the most interesting platform in terms of audience and connection. But this could go for Twitter, this can go for Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, if you wanted to get into that. But looking at each of your platforms where you're posting and saying, is Facebook doing what I need it to do? And will it do what we need it to do? What is our strategy behind that? There's a lot of questions involved in social. So once you've looked at your strategic goals, the next step is to maybe invest in tools and people. Perhaps you have your social media content. A few people have had their hands in it. They're doing it on the side as part of another job, and you want to take it to the next level. Bringing in a person, if you have the capacity to hire someone, even on a part-time basis, that's great. Or maybe you can realign a person's job description to fit a social media role a little bit more. Maybe there's a volunteer position you can bring in. But either way, social media content takes time, and content creation takes time, and it takes energy. There are definitely times where we all have to jump in and wear a lot of different hats. And so I appreciate that it can be tricky to do that. But if you want to grow your social media platforms, reach new people, you do need to invest time and energy into people to do the work. The other side of it too is tools. So there's a lot of tools out there that can help you do your job more efficiently and create content more efficiently. A tool we use at Inclusion Incorporated and that I'm actually implementing at the IIHF is Canva. And actually, I built this whole presentation on Canva, and it makes me look really creative and very artistic, and I look great. Bonus is this is a template, and I was able to create a really great presentation, and I can create really great content in just a few minutes. So a Canva account is also free for nonprofits, if that interests you. Otherwise, it's really affordable for a pro account. You can also have a free account. And Canva will allow you to create graphics and video within minutes. You can also post directly or schedule your content directly to your social media accounts. That's probably the easiest way to jump into. That's the easiest, most effective tool out there, in my opinion. If you're going to go, so for me, if you're going to go and invest in any social media tool on the market, Canva is the absolute one. Other tools that you can invest in are Hootsuite or TweetDeck, any sort of social media aggregator. There's lots out there. Agorapulse is one. There's a number of aggregators out there that will also give you access to analytics all in one place. A social media aggregator, what it does is brings in all of your social media conversations, searches, any sort of hashtag searches you want to do, content searches, and it will give you one dashboard. So that way you can really work on social listening to help your content, help jump on more conversations and see what your audience is saying. Hootsuite, TweetDeck, Agorapulse, any of these will also give you access to analytics, which is a great way to sort of understand if your content is performing, why it's performing, and how to take it to the next level. All of these tools do cost a little bit more, so it's worth sort of looking into, do I need it yet? All the analytics are still available within each platform organically. So technically you don't have to pay for something, but there are tools out there to make that a little bit more efficient and easier. If you like dashboards like me, Hootsuite might be your answer. The last step, so once you've sort of taken that step to invest in taking your social content to that next level and understanding your audience, here's a chance to reevaluate and adapt. And this is where analytics come into play. understanding why your audience is why a certain number of audiences is being reached, why people are engaging, how they're engaging, and what content they engage with will really help you to understand your content's performance and how you can be better and how you can grow and how you can continue to adapt based on your changing audience. You can also use, there's a few tools out there that will allow you to do benchmarking, ads, and forecasting to help grow your platform and brand. But again, those are all much bigger conversations that I won't totally overwhelm you with quite yet, but happy to talk about later. Whew. Okay, so I told you all of these things, but what do they mean? Because I just gave you a list of things to do and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, so I'm going to break down each pillar. Thinking strategically. So what does that mean? It means your strategic business goals. So what are my sort of suggestion would be to define 3 social media goals that align with your business strategy. So whatever your business strategy is, come up with 3 goals that you want your social media content to do. That will allow you to make sure that every message and every piece of content you do and you push out to the world has the same messaging and connects back to your brand. The next question is, what platforms should you be on? And like I said before, long gone are the days where you have to be on every platform. So thinking about what is your target market, how old is your audience, what kind of demographics are they? Are they male? Are they female? Where are they located? There's a lot of interesting trends. For example, in the UK, Twitter is very popular and Instagram a little bit less so. In Canada and North America, I would say TikTok and Instagram are the most used platforms, with Twitter coming in second. Technically, Facebook has the highest number of users, but you have to consider what are behaviors on Facebook and how do audiences connect with brands. So thinking about what is your target market and that market's social media habits. So put yourself in your audience's shoes. And then from there, so you've decided, these are my goals. This is what I want to achieve. This is who I want to reach. Now you get to make a content plan. And I would strongly suggest, I used to operate without a content plan. This is many, many years ago because it was just me. I only had to, when I was working with other organizations, I only had to answer to me. Nobody really had to worry about what I was doing or when, or how it all worked out, or how it all came into play. I could just do whatever I needed to do and my brain remembered it. However, what I've learned over the years is that actually makes it a lot harder to create strategic goals or to follow those goals and to have a really cohesive brand voice on social. So if you're just sort of handling social like how you would do your regular accounts, it's not going to get the right message across and you may not be reaching as many people as you could. So creating a content plan and calendar is really important. There are a lot of free templates out there in the world that you can download to make your life easier. You can use a shared Google Doc or any type of Excel file, any way that whatever type of calendar works for you and your organization, that's your last step. And this is something really important that I'm always reminded of the importance of this question. Why? Why are we making this piece of content? We have this idea. We have this goal. Why are we making this content? What is the importance of this content? Is it to drive our business back? Is it to engage new people? Is it to create a statement? Why are we making this content? Because as much as you probably want to create content every single day, you don't have to. You can be a little bit more creative. So you want to look at the more impactful content pieces versus it's sort of quality over quantity, that age-old question. The next step, investing in tools and people. So this goes back to the people question and then the tools. And I talked about this already, so I won't take too much time here. But you want to make sure that whether you invest in a person to hire them, whether it's a volunteer role, whether it's just adding social media to someone's existing role, whatever it is, you want to make sure that the person taking on this role is going to be invested in the messaging, invested in the business strategy, and invested in your overall goals. You want to make sure that they're going to enjoy it. If they don't really enjoy social media, it's probably not the best job. You'd be surprised how many organizations have people who don't really want to do it, but do it because they're the only one who knows how to use Instagram. So make sure that if you're going to invest in someone, that they have a passion and an excitement and an energy and do have the time capacity to create graphics, videos, content plans, etc. Tools, again, going back to Hootsuite, TweetDeck, Canva, there are a lot of tools out there that can simplify your workflow. I'm happy to go through that a little bit later. If you have specific questions around that, we can talk about what specific tools I would suggest for those specific questions and needs. So last part, reevaluating and adapting. This is actually, aside from the content creation side, I love brainstorming and being creative. This is my favorite part about social media. And I think it's because I'm a big, huge nerd who loves analytics and loves knowing the why. Why did people engage with this content? What made it better than everything else? So my favorite part is getting to evaluate, looking at our KPIs, setting a time frame, saying, okay, by the end of this year, we want to achieve this many followers, this much engagement, and this much reach and impressions. So taking that, and then at the end of the year, getting to look, and then throughout the year, are we on track to hit those KPIs? What do we need to do? So for me, it's always understanding those analytics, and within your organization and within your discussions around content, looking at, what is the correct time frame. I would suggest anywhere from 3 to 6 months is a great time to evaluate. And then looking at what content was successful, which content underperformed, and why. Always why. Adapting to trends is that next step as well. Again, there are a lot more users on TikTok than there were a year ago. Is TikTok and Reels, maybe that's a new opportunity for you to create content. Maybe Instagram you're seeing a lot of engagement and excitement through Instagram, and you need to reinvest in that platform. Whatever it is, being aware of what changing trends are, how people are consuming content is a great way to know if you're on the right track. And then going beyond is taking your content to that next level, using social tools to help with benchmarking, recreating ads and running ads that are very hyper targeted, and adding that social listening aspect. Now, all of those things are great, but at the end of the day, what are the difference makers? Number one, create community engagement. That means talking to your audience. That means, again, going back to, engaging with a comment, answering your DMs, answering your Facebook messages, seeing what people have to say within your community. Twitter is a great place.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, I was on such a roll. I was rocking. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
I think you can just reshare and then get back on the ball. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Cool. Fun. There's always one thing.
It was good to see, but everybody was paying attention. It was good to see the shocked faces as it went away. So it was really good.
You know what? I'm going to start doing that in every presentation now, is where I just, I suddenly disappear and to make sure you're still awake and engaged and excited. So going back to that community engagement piece, if someone takes a second of their day to like or comment, especially to comment, that's a really important, that's a really important engagement, is a comment. So making sure you either like their post or you re-engage with them, maybe you follow them back, whatever that is, but community engagement is really one of those big difference makers. Being creative. There's no wrong answers in social. You can be as creative as you want to be, try things, and you will know immediately if it worked or didn't work. You will know if it was great to be made, if that was fun to make, if it wasn't fun to make, but be creative. You can do pretty much anything you want in terms of content and types of content and messaging, as long as it aligns with what you're trying to do in your business goals and your organization. Be creative and just have fun. The last one is patience. You will not know what's working, if it's working, or why it's working within a day. And if you're like me, I'm a very impatient person and I like to know what's going on all the time. But you have to give it time. You have to give it time to grow. It's a beautiful plant. You got to put those roots in. You have to plant the seed, water it, give it love, maybe talk to your plant a little bit, give it some positive and reinforcement. And then you get to watch it grow into a beautiful tree or a beautiful flower, whatever you've planted. So give your social accounts patience and give your team patience to understand what's working and what isn't working, and then make sure that they can adapt. And finally, I found this great quote and from the co-founder and group chief executive, We Are Social, and it just kind of sums up everything all together. So we are seeing rapid changes in culture, the economy, and society more broadly. The huge shift in behavior witnessed over the last 12 months are now permanent and are set to accelerate even faster. More people than ever before are spending time online beyond social connections, information, and entertainment. The growth of social commerce, gaming, and spending on cryptocurrencies and digital goods is evidence of real culture change. It's never been more important for marketers to have a deep understanding of online communities, cultures, and subcultures. And I think that quote just really sums up the importance of social media, of creating community, and of driving, business back to what you're doing and building those really engaged online communities who will then be your champions everywhere else and around the world. And that, my friends, that's it. Ha.